Yeah, you know, there's that scene where when Nux drives up to Iwata, he's like, Immortanjo! And then he's like, he looked at me. I thought, if I'm ever driving around and I see that actor, I don't know where he lives, but if I see him, I'm going to drive alongside him, I'm going to do that. I'm going to like cross my fingers and hold him out the window and go, Immortan!
And he'd be like, what?
And if he turns around, I'll be like, oh, he looked at me. Then plant my foot and just go, I am awaiting in Valhalla. And he'll be like, stop, why does that always happen?
And then you crash into McDonald's.
You'll be like, all these Aussies keep crashing their cars because they see me and just go for Valhalla.
And then and you're crashing into the McDonald's and you're like, Valhalla! And can I have an order of fries, please? You just,
do you have any mother's milk? I'll have some of that.
Do you have any mother?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another spoiler talk, and this time I have with me someone who is definitely awaited in Valhalla, Ramiro.
Is it Valhalla or Walhalla? Because I couldn't tell the difference. He was saying
it's hard to say.
But it looks cool.
Well, we're gonna cover all that stuff we don't get, and there's plenty of it.
There's.
Well, I'll have to go back and insert your intro. I cannot have you as a guest on the podcast without playing that intro, so I'm going to include.
Roll the intro.
Romero, he's an awesome dude, he's on your PC. He likes to make reviews for the movies you see. And if you want to sub his channel, take it from me. He mixes all that to a big surprise and he probably hates you. Romero Movie News, Romero Movie News, Romero Movie News, Romero Movie News, Romero Movie News.
Jackie Chan touched my wiener.
Ooh, gives me chills every time,
right? It's amazing. It's just, I use that whenever I go on a date for the first time, just show them my intro, and then they just, their panties drop like books from a shelf.
You just walk up doing that weird fist pump going.
That weird fist pump gyration thing.
Yeah.
People think I'm having a seizure when I do it in public.
Oh, it's so hot.
I know, right?
You mentioned before you had difficulty understanding what they were saying in the movie. I did too. And I'm Australian, so...
There's a lot of things in this movie that are, I wouldn't say confusing, but they didn't explain too much about it. But it's kind of like, I don't know, George Miller would probably just put it in there like, this movie's just crazy enough as it is. Let's make it more crazy. Let's put things in there that no one would get or understand, but it looks cool. Which it does. Granted, some of the things that I don't get in the movie, like some visuals I didn't understand, still look pretty damn awesome.
Well, that's the thing, is like... I think I mentioned in my review, is like a lot of the stuff he doesn't explain is world building. It's not necessarily for the main plot. Everything about the main plot, you understand what's going on. It's the stuff around the edges in this world that you're like, what is that for? But when you think about it, they actually make a lot of sense. Because I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah, because the spray paint, to me, when they spray paint their mouths like coated with a silver spray paint, I always saw that as like them, in other words, saying I'm about to die. So it's kind of like when people do that thing, Catholic people do that thing where they like the cross with their hands or whatever when they're about to
they link their fingers together in like an X.
Yeah,
and like hold it up.
Yeah, and then I guess these guys think it's like, if I'm about to pass on, this is like the blessing I get from Valhalla, like spray paint my mouth silver. Or maybe they just do it because they like the taste.
Well, I thought maybe it's got something to do with like, wasn't the Viking thing? And like, back then is like when someone dies, they put like silver coin on their eyes because it's like you pay the boatman to get across. Maybe the silver spray paint was like their version of that or something. Maybe,
or maybe they just like the smell of it in their nostrils.
Maybe it's just to get them high, so they just go. Ah!
Maybe I also thought of that too. Like maybe it is to get them to get their adrenaline pumping. Because there's that one scene in the movie, spoiler warning for who hasn't seen it, where that pale dude gets shot right in the freaking chest with like a hook, and he just spray paints his mouth.
Yeah, he knows he's gone, so he's like, I'm going to go out and blaze glory.
Like, screw it. And then he just jumps with these two giant, like I'm calling them boomsticks.
Yeah.
And he just jumps and destroys the car. I'm kind of thinking of it's kind of like, I think they do it to get an extra boost of adrenaline, kind of like when people are low on energy, like in the army, and they're losing a lot of blood, but there's still a lot of things they need to do, like action wise. Yeah. They inject a thing of adrenaline straight into their heart.
Well, like an injection. It's interesting you say that adrenaline thing, because before going into the movie, somebody told me, like someone in the comments mentioned, that apparently the reason they have, like it turned out to be true, the reason they have Max on the front of the car and they're hooking up like a tube of blood that's going straight into the driver. And he said the idea was supposed to be because you're on the front of the car going, ah, driving into a storm. So it's like there's adrenaline in your blood and then the adrenaline's going into the driver. Apparently it was supposed to be something like that, but that was one thing I didn't get.
I think I understood it. I think I understood it because like when they're taking Max into the cave and writing all that legal mumbo jumbo on his back, they call him a universal donor. So he's kind of like those pale guys. They've given blood, but they get blood from all these healthy people they find. So like Nicholas Holt's character is getting blood from Max constantly.
Yeah, like they did call him like at the start when they bring in when Nux is like, tubed into Max. Like the guy when he brings out Max, he says, "Oh, I've got this full life." They call them full lives, but the War Boys, Immortal Joe, called half lives.
Yeah, so they call
you drain it from the full life into the half life to make the half life full. But see, I was wondering, like, what do they think that's doing? Are they doing that for the adrenaline, or do they think that because they've all got like diseases on them from radiation, so maybe they think that's going to cure them? Like, because Max was healthy, he didn't have any stuff, so maybe they think if I transfuse the blood, it might cure me. Yeah, it was a weird thing, but at least it explained why they took Max hostage. Otherwise, they'd just kill him. But
I know, right? That's what I thought too. Like they were just gonna kill him or torture him or something, but they just put like his blood into Nicholas Holt, and he's super pale and white, kind of like someone at a rave, But at a rave, someone can just take a shot of Jaeger bomb and just boom back up. But here it's like, I'm gonna take a shot of Tom Hardy in my bloodstreams. Gonna start talking like Bane out of nowhere and snap necks.
Yeah, I reckon they could have done without that because there was a bit too many things that sort of they had. Like they had the chrome that they'd spray on their mouth. They had the blood. They had the mother's milk.
That was weird. The mother's milk.
The mother's milk was weird. But
I'm watching that scene where he's like all bloodied up after like killing like that car that's coming towards him, and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you hurt? You're bleeding." And then Charlie turns up, that's not his blood. And then he just dips his hand into his bucket, not knowing what it is. He thinks it's like, water.
Yeah, he goes,
and then they're like, what is this?
And they go, it's mother's milk. He's like,
and
and he just starts splashing it all over himself.
He just starts splashing it in his face. Like, I need to get this blood off me. I don't care what it is. I bet he doesn't even know what mother's milk means. He probably thinks it's from cows, but it's from women who are the size of cows.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I wonder if that's like, they have that as a substitute for water because water's really scarce. But then I thought, well, it is really nutritious, so maybe they give that just to the War Boys to help keep them strong for the fights and stuff.
More than likely, that's what they do.
So I reckon that's probably what that was. It was funny.
All
these really big women just hooked up to machines like cows, just sitting there reading magazines.
Just another day,
Another day at the office.
Another day in the office getting my giant tits milked, No silicone in these, or the milk will turn sour. Or plastic, whichever. But no, that was a great scene. I think the whole introduction into the world that Max is in this movie was really well put together. Like, you see the civilization, you see that the one main guy who's like a god, and he has all this resources like to his disposal, bullets and gasoline. Guzzling. I don't get it. Maybe it's like an emphasis on how we're guzzling all the gasoline in our economy.
Yeah.
Damn you, Obama! You promised change, but you don't even get that. But no, for the most part in this movie, I like the introduction into the world that Max is in, and it's really just really like this guy who's the leader is like so creative. Like he's like, okay, we don't have cows. What are you gonna do? We're gonna milk breast milk from women. We don't have any more greens. So we're gonna make our own greenhouse.
Yeah, it's
this
resourceful. I mean, they gotta use what they got. I actually did. I read an article the other day. There was like some woman got lost like out on a bushwalk or something, but she survived by drinking her own breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Like it's just going back in me. Like whatever. But it's really crazy stuff in this. I gotta say, all around though, my favorite thing from this movie that was so creative were what I'm calling the boomsticks. Those long sticks that just explode when you throw them. By the way, those are awesome.
Yeah.
Like really badass things to see. And
they
I
really
guess
put
they
a lot
use
of
them because if they're out of bullets, I guess they use it as a last resort, kind of weapon, which
well,
still
it looked
pretty
like
much
they'd
works.
throw it at the wheels to flip the car, but still
Yeah,
keep like the petrol tanks intact. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they
They
do that to
also
Max at the beginning.
they do that. They threw that through the back of his car and flipped it over. But for the most part, it looks like they use it as a weapon too, like just a last resort weapon.
Yeah.
Epic all around. But no, this movie was insanely crazy, and I'm my favorite Mad Max movie is Beyond Thunderdome, and that has Tina Turner in it. Like,
Yeah.
and I thought that was insane, but this was just really crazy. Like, this movie has been in production hell for like I want to say 4 years or 5. Like, it's been delayed, it's been rewritten, it's been reshot. It's like been on the shelf. Like, oh, are we gonna release it? And it took so long for George Miller to finally get it going, and it was worth the wait. This is one of the best action movies I've seen in a long time. And and living in the States in general, or being American in general, we hardly get good action movies with decent props and sets and practical effects and stuff. And I miss those kinds of movies. And then this one, it just really used those to its advantage. And I'm just saying, Michael Bay, and you got to take notes from this guy. You can't just be blowing cars up with your little pew pew firework explosion. You got to build your own cars and then destroy them, because that's how it's done.
Well, there's that saying, art from adversity.
Yep.
And because, like you said, because George Miller, he had to overcome so many huge obstacles to try to get this movie made. Like, when you're faced with that, it kind of puts you into this creative zone where you end up doing better because you're under pressure. Like A New Hope, Star Wars was a perfect example of that too. Because George Lucas, it's another George. George Lucas had such a limited budget and nothing on set worked. So he just every fibre of him was thrown into getting it together. And I think a similar thing happened here with George Miller, because he'd been trying for 30 years to get it going, and it ended up working really well. So Warner Brothers, do you want a good movie out of Zack Snyder? Cut his budget in half, threaten to cancel the movie every few days, and put him under a huge amount of pressure, and he'll
just cut him as director completely, which is fine with me
that'd
too.
Work as well.
And hire Ben Affleck. Yeah, right.
Yeah, get Ben Affleck to direct.
Get Ben Affleck to direct. I'm Batman, and just have him direct while sitting in his chair with wearing the Batman suit the whole time.
Yeah,
how badass would that be?
I would love that.
but enough poking fun of Zack Snyder. He does that to himself easily.
Well, you mentioned Thunderdome, right?
Yeah, Thunderdome. That's my favorite Mad Max movie.
It turns out this actually, George Miller, he says there's no real exact timeline, but he says in his mind this does take place after Thunderdome, which I didn't think.
And his mind is crazy. But...
Yeah, but in Thunderdome, the Peter Pan kids in the second half, one of them wears full white body paint, and he has black around his eyes, exactly like the War Boys.
Yeah, so
and a few people noticed that, and I was like, maybe that's Baby Immortan.
Who knows?
He got old very quickly, considering Max was 30 there.
Got warts all over his body. Disgusting.
So do you reckon? We'll say Immortan at the beginning, when they're putting his armor on, you see his skin's all it's all burned and got lesions and stuff. Yeah. A lot of people had that. Knox had the little sort of cancerous growths that looked on his shoulder.
He named them.
Yeah, he named them. He's like, these are my mates, or they could kill me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
whatever. I'm crazy.
Do you reckon that was do you reckon it was suggested that was because of nuclear fallout, or do you reckon that was because it's just not healthy? Because they do mention at the beginning, the voiceover from Max says something about a sickness in their bones.
Yeah, I think it probably has to do with the radiation in the air.
I thought so too, yeah.
That's why he wears the mask, because he can't breathe properly anymore, and I think it's due to the radiation and also to the scorching heat, and that combined gives him the welts and the the terrible looking skin, and
Yeah, I think it's from the radiation too, because the idea is supposed to be that's why everyone's in the desert, because all the cities in Australia are around the edges. So if they all get nuked, the only place you can go to get away from the radiation is into the center of Australia where the desert is, which is why everyone's in the desert in Mad Max. But I guess people still get radiation seeping in and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, for the most part in the movie, you could tell the world is just completely gone. It's like there's no, like, in the first Mad Max, he's wearing a nice, leather jacket. Every society still looks okay.
It's a nice country town.
It's a nice country town with a diner and everything. And then the second movie, it's like it's getting kind of like wasted. And then the last one, you could just tell everybody went off the deep end. And this one, everybody just like completely gave up.
I think this was like the first time where, like, after Thunderdome, we saw like Bartertown. And I was saying, I don't know if they can make the movie after Beyond Thunderdome, because if civilization was returning in Thunderdome, it'd be even more returned in this, and you wouldn't have that wild aspect. But they still did, but it carried over as well, because like Immortan's town, or whatever it's called, his like town...
Citadel.
The Citadel, that's it.
Yep.
It seemed to be like in a relationship with other citadels nearby.
Yeah, like other citadels, like Bullet Town and Gas Town.
Bullet Town and Gas Town, because...
And it's run by his brothers, I think, too, or his family.
Yeah, were they actually his brothers, or was he calling them brothers? Like,
I guess he was just calling.
We're in a bikie gang, so we called each other brothers, even though we're not.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that dude.
I actually didn't pick that up when I first saw the movie. I didn't realize that, so I was like,
they were kind of like, all of this over a family squabble. And I kind of thinking like, oh, they're related or something.
I was confused because I didn't realize they were from the different places, and because they're kind of like questioning Immortan's leadership and that. And I was like, better be careful. He's going to cut your head off, dude. But that makes sense, because if they both each have their own town. And like the guy on the tank who gets blinded, when he comes out and he's just like recklessly shooting everywhere. And I'm like, you're supposed to catch the wives alive and you're just shooting everywhere. But I guess that makes sense, because if he has his own town, he's like, I don't want to be here, so I'll just shoot everything.
Yeah, I know.
So it makes sense. Because it seems like, because at the beginning, they were heading towards Gastown. And she actually, like, her tanker, like, you know how it had the tanker, but then it had that little smaller circle thing attached at the end?
Yeah,
like
the pod, yeah.
Yeah, and the pod was what had the gas in it, because you see it blow up when she takes it through the canyon. And the rest of that was actually water, because towards the end, when they're shooting at it with, like, spears, and it pierces through, you see water leaks out. It's not gasoline. So I think at the start of the movie, they were trading that water for gasoline down at Gastown. Yeah, so I think that's the way that society was working, where like Immortan provides water and food, and he trades the water and the food for the gas or for the bullets with the different towns. So anyway, the point I was making was that sort of shows that civilization is starting to return more from...
to a civilized order.
Yeah, like...
And then Max
Tina
comes
Turner's
in, he's
probably a town around there as well that they all know and they can still work with, but out on the road it's still lawless. But there's
they just like completely forgot about her because her skin turned to like wrinkly like a gecko. And like, screw that bitch, like she's old. Or they put her in the milker.
Either that or Immortan's like, ooh baby, she looks like me.
Or he's like, and I'm gonna put you in the rest with the rest of the bitches milking you.
She's like, can I be your wife? He's like, no.
You're wearing all that.
Maybe when you're 20, yeah, but not now.
Yeah, put her with the rest of the milk bitches. Like, boom, and just put her back there. But damn, no, that's I think another interesting thing about this movie too was the scene where they're in the mud hole. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to tie the truck to the tree, and once that scene passes, they meet the mothers, and I find that so sad when they're struggling in this mud hole to try to escape, and then Charlize Theron's character Furiosa finds out that turned out to be her home. That used to be the green place, and I'm kind of like remembering in my head, thinking to myself,
that was the green place. Yeah, it explains.
Like that's devastating. Like. It's so devastating to the fact that they were trying to escape, but they didn't notice that what they were escaping was where she grew up at.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in your mind, you got to think and in her mind too, she probably thought like that my home, I couldn't even recognize it because it became just like every other wasteland.
And I guess there was a clue because there was that one tree there as well. and she actually pulled it down.
Yep.
The one tree left in her former home, and she pulled
it down. And she's like,
trying to get the truck out.
I'm trying to save my truck, but I'm going to fuck up this tree. The process.
Take that, nature. Yeah.
Nature. No, but that was a really impactful scene. Charlize Theron's character in general was a really great character. And in my review for the movie, which everybody who's listening to this should check out, Bandit Incorporated here will put a link, hopefully, to my Mad Max review and
definitely.
to my channel and what have you.
I'll use those fancy cards in the top right corner.
Yeah. Oh, the corner right here.
Annotations don't work anymore. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
Even if you set them up, they don't work. They're trying to force us to use the cards. So, but anyway,
bastards.
They're good though. The cards are good.
But for the most part, the movie was great, and Charlize Theron's character was just so good. I've made it a record of saying that in my review that those male activist douchebags were like, "Oh, this is a feminist movie."
I was just about to ask you about that. Yeah.
yeah, like shut up, you bastards! Like.
Yeah,
who the hell cares? We need more. We need, if anything, in society, we need more movies like this that have great female action heroes.
Yeah, they go on about it because there's an all-female community out there, but like, you know what? It's fine that they have that in the movie because Immortanjo, is treating women, as property, literally. So to have that other group out there sort of evens it out more. And you know what? If the world went to hell like that, women would be treated like that, and they would need to form communities where they can protect each other like that. So I don't think it was really like any kind of statement either for or against feminism. It was just, hey, this is probably what would happen, and it probably would.
Exactly, and and plus I don't care because it's still like nice to see a female action. We haven't had in the past few years in film. We haven't had a good action movie with a great female action hero. I mean, last year we had Emily Blunt as Rita Verdosky in Edge of Tomorrow. She was phenomenal as an action hero. And then this year we have Furiosa, Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road. And I'm kind of hoping to God, because Warner Brothers did both of those films, and they're doing a pretty good job highlighting their female characters in action movies. So I'm kind of hoping they do the same with that skinny pencil neck model in Batman v Superman is playing Wonder Woman.
Could you imagine if Charlize Theron was Wonder Woman?
Oh my God, that would have been amazing. Oh, that would have been amazing.
How good would that be?
You see, now we're back to that. Now we're back to that stupid Fast and Furious actress.
Did you see that bit where she's fighting Max and she punches him with her arm stump?
Her little
she roundhouse punches him with her little stump.
Take this with my nub. Ha! I'll punch you with my nub. Bam. It just knocks him out like, my nub. Take that. And it's like she just raises her arm like, nub justice, bitch.
Well, go.
That was a great scene, by the way. That was a funny. I laughed so hard through that scene where he's like, water. And he's just like spraying his mouth. He's like, glock, glock.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. And the way he's like kind of like, he's not talking. He's just kind of like with a shotgun flicking it, going, yeah,
like a caveman.
Yeah.
We should put a scene here with like an animated caveman or something, because it's like through the whole scene, that's what he was like. I kind of like the fact he's holding the gun and he knows it doesn't have any bullets.
Yeah.
But he's still like, these women won't know the difference.
Well, that goes back to Road Warrior, because Mr. Sunday
in Road Warrior he had the same thing. I like that little nod that they gave that.
I sent him a list of all these different Easter eggs that I saw, so he used quite a few of them in that. But he had a lot that I didn't see as well. But that shotgun thing was one of the, because in the Road Warrior with the gyro pirate, for like half of the movie he's like,
using an empty
holding
gun.
the shotgun, and then he finally opens it and it's empty because he finds a bullet and he puts it in, and the pilot's like, empty. That's dishonest. Low.
And then I just found that I remember that scene at the Road Warrior because he's like shooting it and it just flares.
Yeah, he finally gets a shell and it doesn't work, and he's like, oh damn it.
Oh damn it. Damn it to hell, screw this, I'm Mel Gibson!
Well, they did the same thing in Fury Road, but it's like he has the shell, he tries to shoot, knocks his hand off, it fizzes, So then he has to pretend like it's.
I remember
loaded,
everybody in the theater like going like he's gonna blow his hand off. He's gonna blow his hand off. Like you can just hear him like like everybody's like, oh my god, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And it was like and everybody just started laughing in the theater. I remember this one guy sitting next to me was so into the movie that every time an awesome like piece of music, like those giant drums, the ones in the car that were driving. Every time that those drums were like playing a part of the music and the score, that dude next to me was moving his arms at the same length, like trying to like pretending that it was so. He was like really into the movie too.
And
like,
meanwhile, you were doing the air guitar flamethrower thing next to him. You were like,
like while no one was looking. By the way, like when no one was. By the way, that guy should like get nominated for best supporting actor. The guy with the flaming guitar at the Oscars.
They changed his face too, by the way. In the trailers, he had this melted face, but in the movie, they CGI'd over it, and he was just like a normal guy, but his eyes were gone.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He was just like, ah! So they changed his face.
He looked really awesome. I was really looking forward to that guy in the movie, and he was epic. I just found him funny. I found the fact that when they're waiting.
Yeah, everybody loves that guitar guy.
He's epic.
Talks about that.
Everybody, it was funny in the movie where he's just like the guy's just hanging, but he's like sleeping. And he's just hanging, like they're waiting for Furiosa, and they're all just like like oh we're just gonna sit here and wait because we got nothing to do. And the guitar guy's just hanging from his strings, just like. I really
like that bit where they're all just waiting around, but they're just kind of like. So
and then they say like, and they're like, hey, it's the tanker, it's the thing. It's going, and they're like, she knows the city's unguarded, and they're like, oh shit, what are we waiting around?
I only just realized that now. Damn you, script!
Damn you, rewritten script! Damn you! I just realized I left my whole city undefended.
Oh, actually, I remember now. I was going to say before. We were talking about Wonder Woman. Well, the chick with the black hair that was naked at the top of the tower. You remember her?
Yeah. And
then slides down the pole while she's also naked. That was ouch. But slides down the rope while she's naked. But she was the chick that was going to be Wonder Woman when George Miller was going to do Justice League in 2007.
He has a lot of those cast members in this movie too.
I saw an interview with her though, that actress, because she's been doing a lot of the Australian interviews and stuff because she's well known here. But she's like, she said, I knew there was a scene where I have to be totally naked. And she goes, but then George Miller calls me up on the first day and he's like, yeah, we need you to be naked for the very first thing you're going to film. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh yeah, and it's also your very first scene with Charlize Theron. And she's like, oh.
Even better.
So she said, I was more scared about meeting Charlize Theron for the first time than being naked. She's like, do I have to meet Charlize Theron while I'm still naked? And he's like, no, you can cloak up. She's like, oh, at least there's that.
I know, right? I found that thing like where she's actually like you just brought it up, the fact that she's naked and she's swinging down this metal pole.
Yeah, or slides down the rope, and it was like,
or the rope, and I'm like, how does isn't your badge gonna feel that or something? Yeah. all the rustiness from that pipe.
Ooh. I do wonder with that community, though. It's like, if they only take women, but you kind of need men around if you want to have the next generation. Otherwise,
exactly. That's why they all died.
Yeah.
That's why there only like 5 of them. This bitch who's good at shooting headshots. This bitch who's good at shooting guys in the back. This woman who's good at growing flowers for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I think they were all good at snipering.
They were all good at snipering. Yeah,
wasn't the older lady? She's like, sorry, I've killed everyone else I've ever met.
She's like, it's a
just any car that goes past sees like her up the tower and it's like, ugh, and then they get shot through the head.
Pew. It's hilarious. But no, the old ladies were great. By the way, they were hilarious, and
yeah, I love the.
I love the fact that Mad Max actually is like, we can have a plan, and he's like coming up with a plan, and he's like, we'll have to destroy it and kill them all, and then the old lady's like, I love this plan already, and Max just goes like, like he just points at her like, yeah, I love this, like, yeah, this old lady gets it.
I was watching Angry Joe's spoiler discussion on that, and they were saying like they kind of needed a bigger thing towards the end to help wipe out like all of the war boys, because they take out like a couple of the main rigs and block the pass, but there's still like at least 200 war boys that can travel around. I know there's the mountain men there, but they could get around. So
But I
it's
think
like,
I think
you
they
got the
won't be able to
Citadel,
do it.
but you've only got it until they all find their way back, and then you're finished.
Well, I don't think they have to worry because they basically take control of the Citadel, and the Citadel has other war boys, and since they look like they're
War
guys who
pups, yeah.
easily follow anybody with power,
Yeah,
they'll
well,
probably
I
just
guess that's true, because once she's in the tower, she can be like, well, you can work for me and get water, or you can just stay there and not get
And
water.
no one's gonna with a woman named Furiosa, by the way.
Yeah.
No one's gonna like her name literally says she's furious.
But you know what would have been good, though? Is I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know how they had the storm at the beginning of the movie where they all got sucked in the storm? If they had put that towards the end chase, then that could have been a good way that Furiosa's like, this is how we can get rid of the war boys. We drive close to the storm and they all get sucked in. Like, that would have been a good way to get rid of them. But I think apparently the ending there was one of the things that was kind of suffered from the constant rewrites and all the hassles behind the scenes. So that's why it doesn't totally make sense.
Not that it doesn't make sense. It's just you don't have to think about it. It's one of those things you don't have
at
to
that
question.
point, you don't really care.
At that point, you just want the movie to be not over, but you're like, oh man, so much. I mean, I enjoy myself with this movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be in my top favorites of the year. But damn, what a cinematic piece of art this was. Like, there's no denying this has to be one of the best movies for the summer. Like you said, I saw your what was it, your Facebook post that said, I don't care what happens anymore. Like, as long as I see this movie, my life is complete, or whatever.
Like in 2015, there's still a lot of movies, but even if they all sucked, I'm okay because Mad Max was good.
It was
because when I was
great.
doing that mega review series, I'm like, I'm putting a lot of energy into this whole franchise. If Fury Road ends up becoming the Phantom Menace of the Mad Max, this is going to be a lot of wasted time, but thankfully, it turned out to be really good.
It really did. It did. It turned out to be a great action film, and I think a lot of people who had never heard of what Mad Max was loved it as well. Like, a lot of people in my theater, while I was we were waiting for the movie to start. A lot of people were never heard of what Mad Max was, and they were just watching it because they liked the trailers or Tom Hardy was in it.
That's why George Miller did such a good job of making it that you don't need to know anything about Mad Max going in.
Yeah.
Like, each movie is kind of self-contained. There's subtle hints to the other stuff.
Yeah, it's that's I say that in my review. Like, it's like George Miller said, it's like following a character in a Saturday morning cartoon show. Each episode every week.
Yeah.
Each episode every week is going to be different. It's going to have hints here and there of the previous episode, but it's not going to follow the continuity of the last episode.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about the Mad Max movies, because they've always been like that. They've always been movies that, like, they don't necessarily follow their own continuity, but they're still very much nods and references to the previous films, but not to the point where, like, it's basically, I said in my review, this isn't a prequel or a reboot or a remake or whatever. It's just another installment into the franchise. You know, it's another Mad Max.
That's such, when you think about it, that's in stark contrast to what everyone else is doing right now, because everyone's trying to build a cinematic universe, kind of like Marvel, where everything's connected and you have to watch all the movies. And, like, this is just the exact opposite, where it's like, no, you don't have to. You can just walk in.
Not know anything.
And that's kind of great. It's kind of liberating in a way, isn't it?
It is. It's very liberating for people to go into a movie and not know anything about the previous films and still somewhat enjoy, not even somewhat, like, really just leave enjoying it, because it is a really great movie. It's action-packed, it's well-paced, it's got good story, it's got great characters, it's got a great female lead, it's got amazing music, and it has great cinematography. And George Miller, just like you said, he went through hell and high water to get this movie done, but it was worth the wait simply because he was trying to do it right. He didn't want to rush it, And
it's the best movie he's ever made. Really,
it is, and it proves he has great range too. Because we're talking about a dude who went from directing Mad Max to then directing two movies about musical dancing penguins, and then back to directing a rated R post-apocalyptic action film. It's so trippy.
Red Letter Media had a really funny joke about that. They're like, George Miller in his sequel to Babe Pig in the City.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I got a better joke than that. I got a better joke than that. We'll just say that Mad Max takes place in an alternate reality where everything's the desert, but then there's like another part in Antarctica where crazy penguins have mutated and can dance and sing. and they can
in
like
the frozen wasteland instead of the
in
desert
the frozen
wasteland.
wasteland. It's like a frozen wasteland, but all the penguins have gone crazy and mutated into
He's got
singing
the
dancing.
gasoline. Get him!
Yeah.
They jump on their sleds and slide down.
Yeah.
You know,
And then they got that awesome score, like that, and they're like riding walruses and crap at the wall.
Yeah, instead of the trucks, it's walruses.
Instead of the truck,
you know?
there's walruses and then like killer whales and stuff. And then they're just singing.
Instead
Like,
of mother's milk, it's whale blubber. You know,
it's way of blubber.
rubbing it all over themselves.
They're just
man.
licking it and stuff.
Hey, let me ask you something though, because this, you know, like Immortan Joe, he's like, I want them back. They're my property.
Yep.
But did you ever really get a sense that he actually cared about them or about specifically the kid? That like the one.
I think he only cared about the kid.
Yeah.
Because what he was trying to do is make the perfect child.
Yeah, that's right.
He was trying to make a healthy. Like I think his goal with all the wives was to make healthy babies.
That's
like just to make healthy kids.
That's what I was thinking. I thought maybe in his mind, apart from just, you know, having lots of hot women around, he's also kind of hoping that through selective breeding, he can breed out the sickness in the human race and he can sort of give us a healthy chance again. So I think like in his mind, because no one ever thinks of themselves as a villain, in his mind, I think that's what he was working towards and that's what he's like, I'll also be the father of the human race then. You know?
And he'll be God, basically.
Yeah, and that also kind of explains why there was no black people in his tribe.
Yeah.
Because if they're all kind of from his gene pool, you wouldn't really. Yeah.
Or Hispanics.
People say that, they're like, where
basically,
are the black people?
Anyone who's not white is not in his tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what's funny, too, was Nicholas Holt's just out of nowhere transformation to a good guy. Like, 1 minute, he's like, I'm going to stab Charlize Theron in the back with this screwdriver and shoot her in the head. And then the next one is like, oh no, that model who is dating Jason Statham died. I'm gonna be a good guy now. I'm gonna feel pity.
Yeah, that was a little.
That
bit
was
rushed,
weird. That was weird. Like 1 minute he's even trying to kill her. Like that very woman who was pregnant, he tried to kill her, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be in Valhalla. I'm gonna stab this baby out of you. And then they throw him out of the car, and then the next minute she sees her die, and then he's like, I'm a good guy now. I'm a good guy.
Well, I mean, that was kind of rough.
And also, and then he's like, and it's a win because I get to bang this extremely awesome redheaded chick.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, when the first time when they talk, and she sort of lays next to him and is like stroking his face, I was like, has he even seen a woman before? I was like, he might not have, you know, because
I could be gay for
he might have seen the ones that get milked.
Yeah. Oh man, this girl is so hot. Or he could have just been like the gay best friend. Like all we know, he could have been gay. His real love would have been that jagged, metal-faced bastard.
He's gay in real life, isn't he?
No, he dated Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh really? Oh, I thought he was gay.
No, what the? No, he dated the hottest woman on the planet right now, Jennifer Lawrence, for several years.
Oh wow. Well, I hate him now. If he
they bang and what have you? No, he's not gay. It's funny. Like,
maybe it's just because
I'm gonna think that now. Every time I see a celebrity without a woman on his shoulder, a male celebrity without a woman on his shoulder, I automatically assume he's gay.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Tom Cruise gay.
Oh dear.
No. But moving past, I don't even know where the hell this conversation is going. Mad Max. Yes.
I was surprised. that Mad Max didn't get his car back by the end.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I was positive he was going to get it back. Because he loses it, and then there's the bit in the final chase where he's like, "That's my car!" Yeah, and I was like, I actually waited to the end of the credits because I thought there might be an end credit scene where he's like walking away from the water place, from Immortan's place, and he finds his car like spun out in the desert, and he's like, "Oh yes, I got you back," you know, like. But no, there wasn't. So, but that's okay. He often loses his cars.
Yeah,
it blows up in Road Warrior. And then he walks into the desert. He loses his camel train at the start of Beyond Thunderdome, and then he walks into the desert.
You can't keep a car or a woman. What does this mean? I lose my cars and the women I fall in love with.
They all end up getting killed. My cars get killed. My women get killed.
But not Charlize Theron. She gets to live.
Yeah, it's probably only because he left. If he stuck around, she'd probably be dead right now.
Yeah, right?
But mind you, if I was Max, I wouldn't have walked into the desert. I know he's Max. He needs to. Because, that's the character. But I was like, if I was Max, I'd be like, great, we got food here, we got water here, we got shelter here. I've got Charlize Theron here. You know what I'd like to see for like, I was thinking about it. What I'd like to see in like a Mad Max sequel is because like, you know, there's different like factions that they showed in this.
I heard they just named them. I heard news that they just found the name for the next sequel.
Oh, what is it?
Let me find out because I'm trying to. You keep mentioning your point because it's going to take me a while.
Because like we mentioned, there was no black people in this, which kind of makes sense in the story because it was all based around Immortan's group, which is kind of from his gene pool. But I was thinking it'd be good if in the next one...
Ah, there it is. There you go. I found the title. George Miller's next Mad Max movie will be titled Mad Max: The Wasteland.
Ooh, I like it.
It sounds awesome. And
yeah, well, that's perfect. They keep calling it the Wasteland in the in the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, so hopefully this one doesn't take 5 years to make. Like I'm gonna George Miller's gonna be like, I'll just direct Happy Feet 3 in the meanwhile.
Well, you know what I was saying was, I'd like it if in the next one, if one of the factions he comes across is like an Aboriginal tribe, because there are like Aboriginal communes like out in the outback right now, and I thought, you know, if there was like a nuclear apocalypse and all the cities got blown up, they'd be okay because they're already used to living in the desert. So it'd be cool if they brought in like a faction of them where they're kind of like, well, the white man came and took all our land, but then the white man blew himself up, so we're just waiting here until they're all gone and then we can get our land back. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think it would be. I mean, it would be interesting to see that outcome.
But no, Mad Max: The Wasteland. I like that.
That's the name of the next movie, Mad Max: The Wasteland. Like I said, hopefully they don't take 5 years to make this movie, the next movie, because I really want to see what they do with this this franchise down the road. And George Miller is just gonna keep using the technology. Like the fact that he used physical props and cars and stuff and built them from scratch to just blow them up just shows the devotion he had to make sure that every aspect of this movie felt real. Plus, on top, add the fact that he used great CGI and visual effects to enhance the experience. Just made the movie a hell of a ton more better. And that's what is missing from action movies in general these days, is that directors who can mix CGI and practical effects together perfectly. Like, that's why Michael Bay's movies constantly suck, because everything he wants to do is just CGI and firework explosions. But this one was just like genuine fire and genuine explosions.
I think as a fair, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I'm going to call it now, there's a pretty good chance George Miller might choose not to direct that next one. He might choose only to produce it.
Don't say it.
The other reason I'm saying that is because, like, watching his career he's pretty strategic in where he goes around and what he does. So I have a feeling he might realize, like, because this one was so popular, the next one's not going to live up to people's expectations. So he might be like, I'll step aside, let another guy direct it, and then people can go, it wasn't as good as George Miller's one. You know, and then when expectations are down again, he can come in again. Like, you know how a lot of this was because people knew absolutely nothing about Mad Max. So the expectations were kind of neutral. So that's why they're like, it's the best thing ever. But if they're expecting it to be really good, they'd be like, yeah, it was what I was expecting, you know? So it's kind of one of those things where, like, low expectations ends up making it better. But that's because no one knows Mad Max. But now they do. So he'll probably step aside to let someone else take that heat.
or maybe.
He'll be like, who wants a great opportunity to get all the bad press?
At the end of it all, they made a phenomenally great movie. This is now my, I think, number 6 when it comes to favorite movies that have come out this year. It goes Kingsman, Focus with Will Smith and Margot Robbie, Paddington, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Ex Machina, and now Mad Max Fury. Yeah, I like that animated movie. Shut up.
I've never seen anything of SpongeBob SquarePants. Well, I've never seen a single episode.
Well, there you go. It's the kids' version of Mad Max. I
did see a funny clip online though, where it's like it's SpongeBob sitting there watching TV, and it's like footage of like a sea anemone sort of washing back and forth in the sea, and SpongeBob is kind of looking at it like it's his version of porn, because he's looking at it and he's like, and then somebody walks in, he's like, oh, and he quickly changes the channel. He's like, I was just watching this.
I think there's
so funny. If I can find it, I'll put a clip in right now.
I was just looking for the sports channel.
Let me ask you, because you were mentioning before about like the practical car stunts. Do you reckon, like, because so much has been said about that, do you reckon the Fast and the Furious movies are going to alter the way they film their car chases after this? Or do you reckon that
No, they
they're
won't.
already enough on their own that they don't really need to worry about it?
I think I've really given like the last Furious movie or whatever, Furious 7 that came out. Thought it was okay. I had fun with it, but the reason why I constantly got out of like I would watch a movie, I watch a scene, like there's a scene in the movie. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Furious 7.
No,
But
I
there's
haven't
a
seen
scene
it.
in the you haven't seen it?
Nah.
No. But there's a scene in the movie where they're driving apparently the fastest car in the world, which goes like 0 to 500 in like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're driving it in Abu Dhabi, and then they drive it through a building, a building. Like they drive it through one window of a building so fast that it literally jumps and goes through the window of another building that's like 3 or 5 miles away. They
Yeah.
jump through that building, they go faster, and then they jump through that and go towards another building. So basically, like they're jumping through buildings with this car, but it's all CGI. Like
Yeah.
the buildings and I lose myself in scenes like that because I'm like, I can't buy into that. It doesn't look real.
See, I reckon, like, I don't think they'll completely overhaul the way they film stuff, but I think because of Fury Road,
But they
they'll
should.
definitely
They
have
should.
a couple of scenes where they can go, see, that really was a car flipping over and exploding as it jumps
That's
over
why
a
I like-
bus.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
that
why I
kind
like
of thing.
that's why I liked Fast 5 because everything in that movie was practical. The car chase scenes, and I don't know if you've seen Fast 5, but there's this awesome ending sequence where they use these two cars hauling this giant ass vault, and it's all practical. It's all practical.
wow, was it really?
CGI. Yeah, for the most part, it was all practical.
See,
They
I
used the
assumed that was
CGI.
CG. No, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
no.
Wow.
For the most part, it was all practical, and they used CGI only in certain areas. But for the most part, they did shoot that because the vault itself was not even metal; it was like made of wood, so it was very easy to just drag around with the cars. But
Yeah, I think Fast and the Furious is unique enough in its own thing that I don't have to worry too much about it. But I wouldn't be surprised
but
if when the
I
movie
wouldn't-
comes out, they're much more vocal about, see, this was real and that was real, and
They could do it
because
if
of
they
Fury
want-
Road.
And I think if that would be nice if they could the next movie because I know they're planning to do Furious 8 to make it the last one. I think in the film
The last one,
franchise.
they can't ever stop. They have to keep going forever.
I know, right?
Until
Because
Vin
then what-
Diesel is like 75 years old, and he's like,
Yeah, it's the only, like, God,
he's on one of those motorized scooters. He's like,
Yeah.
get out of the way, I'm furious, man. And I'm fast, too.
I'm coming for you, Paul. Sorry, that's no, but
No, it's not that bad. You know, actually, I was like in a video I did with J-Roll, we talked about Paul Walker, and I was looking for a good picture of him, and I found online the leaked picture of him after the crash. Like someone took a picture of him when he was dead, and leaked it online, and he's got like a hole right in the center of his face, like through.
it turned out
his
that
head.
was fake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it turns out it was.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah,
it's
that
fake,
was
because when I
just-
saw that, I was like, oh, why would you leak something like that? That's terrible.
No. It was all fake. That picture because I remember seeing that.
Well, it's still terrible, but at least it wasn't real, thank God.
And the like I said, the music in this was so great. Like I downloaded and bought the entire soundtrack by Junkie XL, who's the artist who is also going to be working on the score for Batman v Superman with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. Actually, because that's right, because they outsourced Batman's theme to someone else. Because Hans Zimmer was like, I already did the Nolan Batman theme. I don't want to do this Batman as well. So he got someone else to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So So Junkie XL has been working for Warner Brothers a while now. I think he did the score for Rise of an Empire, 300 Rise of an Empire. He did the score for that.
That was great. I used that in my Star Wars thing.
Yeah, he used it. He did the score for that, and I think he's
great. That guy. He's really clever.
No, he's really good, really good, really awesome score artist, new to the game as well. Like he's fresh. He's just starting off, but he's doing a hell of a job with his work, and I can't wait to hear what he delivers for Batman v Superman. That's going to be epic. I just just imagining what he could do with this. I could just imagine what he'll do with Batman and Superman. It's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it is going to be.
Well, yeah, I saw your video.
I'm expecting.
Which, by the way,
I'm expecting it's gonna be pretty much the same as Man of Steel, but with Batman in it, and that they learn nothing from the criticism of Man of Steel, so it will divide audiences just like that. And then Warner Brothers is going to have to go back to the drawing board at the end of it, kind of like the Amazing Spider-Mans did. That's what I'm expecting, but it's not what I'm hoping.
You're hoping.
It's funny because it's like I'm one of those people who's like, can't they
video,
cheer up just a little bit light? Everyone's like, no, but Batman's dark, and I was like, yes, he is, but there's 7 other people in the Justice League that are not at all dark. Okay, so the whole universe can't be dark.
Yeah, because then they're all going to be dark. Like, I'm the Flash, but I'm depressed. I run fast.
The Flash is supposed to be funny.
I run fast because I'm running from my problems.
Easy.
And then they do the same thing for Green Lantern.
I bet you that's probably going to be a line in the movie. I can't run away from my problems. It's like, get out of this guy. He's supposed to be like a
everybody has to say
redhead.
Yeah, like Spider-Man, like he's wisecracking stuff, like, and then I feel like every character is gonna say something in relation to the powers. Like Aquaman's gonna be like, I can't, like, no matter how deep I go into the ocean, I can't go deep enough to leave my problems to drown. Some stupid, and then Green Lantern's gonna be like, I may be green. He'll be like, it's not easy being green. Like something. So everybody's gotta say something dark.
Superman's gonna be like, I may be bulletproof, but my feelings aren't.
And then Batman just hits him in the face. Oh yeah,
and then Batman's like, that's how I'm gonna beat him, and he'll just start riffing like,
yeah.
Look at your stupid costume. What's with that hairstyle? You really like the curl, huh?
Enough! You're adorable.
What are you gonna do, sweetie? Burn us with your magic eyes? That'd be a first. You always use it for something lame, like cutting through an iceberg or heating up an old woman's porridge. Is that soup too cold, madam? I'd use that stuff to take off Bane's arms. Stop it!
Right. So it's good to know. So Mad Max Wasteland. The Wasteland is the next one.
That's going to be the next one, and hopefully they do it not so stretched apart, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what actually ends up happening. Like, we don't get it till 2020, and it's competing against, like, Dawn of Justice or whatever, Justice League or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It's a good movie. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, you should. And if you've never seen a Mad Max movie, it's probably one of the best ways to get introduced to it.
Yeah, it's the best of the Mad Max movies.
It's the best of the Mad Max movies, and
it'd be this, then Road Warrior, then Thunderdome.
Oh yeah,
the first one.
The first one. Oh man, no, but it's such a great movie. I could talk about it for hours, but we've already talked about for an hour, and I kind of
now, yeah, it's fine.
Forever now.
I gotta get to work editing.
No, you gotta get to work editing, get all those clips in here,
removing all your swearing, getting rid of all my
so many
anti-gay slurs.
Hey, it's just Nicholas Hoult, I thought, who wasn't into the ladies. Right?
That's right, yeah, exactly.
Oh man, but thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate that we're able to talk about this. No, it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed myself.
You can click on the card to check out Ramiro's channel and his review. And until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.
In the comments!